Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hero Nation Show, the place where business owners and entrepreneurs just like you come to learn tools and tactics to live more epic lives. I'm your host, John Rinehart, and beside me is the man, the myth, the legend, Wayne Salmons. Today, he doesn't know what's happening. He's at my complete mercy.
I'm ready. I am ready.
Awesome. I want you to list for me, in order, what are the three biggest mistakes that you've made in the last week? And if you say something that you did like 3 weeks ago, I will know you are lying.
Can I name agreeing to do this one? This may be mistake number one. So mistake number one, my mom asked when my wedding anniversary was. I replied, I don't know. I did not realize that my wife was also in that thread. That was mistake number one. I should have Googled it before I answered. Okay. Mistake number two. What is mistake number two? Probably not sleeping enough for a couple nights. That was probably mistake number two. I probably could have slept a little bit more a couple nights. Mistake number three would be, I don't know. I'm not sure what mistake number three would be. Not tracking my mistakes better.
Yeah, come on. Like what else?
Let me think. Oh, I put a coaching call on my calendar wrong, and we had different times lined up. Like that was a mistake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got like three little mistakes in there.
Yeah, all the time.
So, what plans did you put in place to rectify those mistakes after they were made?
I actually put my anniversary in my phone as a recurring event. And
How long have you been married?
I put a while, and I put in two reminders.
No, this is a pop quiz.
Yeah, 8 years. Like, yeah. So I literally put it in my phone as a recurring event, and I put two recurring reminders. I put like a 3 week out reminder and a 1 week out reminder, just to make sure I was on my game.
You didn't want to go at least like 2 months out, just in case?
Hey, Amazon shipping doesn't take that long.
Wow. Romantic.
Yes. She doesn't watch this, so I hope she doesn't watch this.
Hi, Brittany.
What's up? That would be mistake number three. Talking about what I did to rectify it.
All right, so mistake number two.
Mistake number two, which was... I don't remember.
Not sleeping enough.
Oh, not sleeping enough, yeah. So I think that is just... it's always going back to just scheduling better and being more intentional. And there are times at night where I need to just go to bed, and yet I feel like I need to unwind. And what I really need to do is just go to bed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's just keeping that top of mind. And then with my schedule, it's just consistently reviewing that and making sure I'm on top of it. So making sure that I review my schedule every night for the day ahead, and then every morning reviewing my schedule. And then the other thing that I make sure I do now is, if someone wants to reschedule something, I don't do any action on that until I'm in a position to actually put it in my calendar. So if someone just says something to me, right, I make sure that I follow that up with immediate text or immediately goes into my calendar right then, because the chances of me forgetting 2.5 hours later to put it in my schedule are really high. So that's a big thing. Like, one of my big missions lately has been to not leave anything up to memory. And I haven't arrived there, but I'm doing better and better every day at working to leave nothing up to memory. I don't want to have to remember anything. So that means I've written it down in a place I know I'm going to review. It's in my calendar. Something.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So out of the last, so I wanted to talk about stuff because I think sometimes when we look at like coaches or we look at the, like our company, stuff like that, like what are some lessons that people could learn from us off of the mistakes that we have or the struggles that we are having currently?
A big mistake that I made early on was trying to help other people before I was in a position to help other people. And what I mean by that is I would have people reach out to me and go, I want to be a coach, or I want to do this, whatever. And I would want to help them. I would want to bring them on to the boat with me when I hadn't finished building the boat.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like trying to help people because they were great people, but realizing this isn't because I don't think you're qualified. This is because I'm not in a position to be the right person to help you at this moment.
Yeah. And
that was tough for me because I think we're very similar. We want to help everybody, and having to recognize that I need to make sure I'm in a position to be able to effectively help them. So there's a lot of people that I tried to help or be all I could be to them, whatever it is. And I just had to recognize I wasn't in a position to be who they needed me to be at that moment.
Right.
That was a big one.
Yeah. That was a huge one.
Yeah.
It's like, wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So, what else?
Mistakes or lessons I've learned.
Mm-hmm. The last, like, let's scope it down. Last 6 months, something that we struggled with, we ended up finding an answer to, or figuring out.
Oh, I think this is a good one. Getting simple. What I've realized is one of my weaknesses is to want to overcomplicate everything, and oftentimes I need to bring things back to simple. So we were doing this affiliate payment plan with some of our pod leaders and other coaches, and it was so complicated that what happened was everybody was okay before we didn't have it, but then we tried to implement it, and it was so complicated it was almost impossible to follow through on. So then we had people ticked off, right, because we weren't following through on it, right, including I was ticked off, right, because we weren't following through. So I had to realize that we're about to roll something out similar in the next little while, and it's going to be dramatically simpler, and which means it's actually going to work, right, which is going to allow us to go forward. So I think my realization that I continually it's easy for me to let things become very complicated, and I've got to continually remind myself to go back to simple, which also means, I've tried to take on too many things, right? Hey, I want to do all these different projects or all this different stuff without, being like a stamp and making sure I go all the way till it gets delivered before I do something else. Yeah. So that's been another big one.
I think one of the big mistakes that we did early on was that we thought that we could jump into the social media game, not just like the Facebook side, but like super on Facebook ads, leads, funnel systems, all this kind of stuff. We thought at the beginning that it was we were like, oh yeah, totally, we can totally figure this out in like 3 months. No. And we kept thinking we were trying to save like $15,000, so that we could, we were like, oh no, we'll save that. We'll save that. We can totally do that ourselves. And it was one of those moments where I think probably 6-7 months down the road, we were like, I think that 15 grand would have been a bargain, all things considered. And I remember thinking, because it was one of those things where you're like, dang, there's a lot to this. It was a full-time job trying to be taken on by part-time work. I think that was kind of one of our big, huge moment.
I agree. Well, and then that's another example of trying to avoid simple.
Yeah.
Right. And one of my big ahas was I was looking to get more clients and trying to build all these Facebook funnels and stuff without realizing that all I needed to do was ask the people that were already my clients and loved me for referrals. Right? So it's I'm looking to build out this really complicated whatever instead of getting simple, looking at what's right in front of me. Right? So I think we miss those things all the time. Realtors, it's funny, I was talking to a realtor about this the other day. They go, I want to double my business. I think I need to do this, right? And I said, what if you just figured out how to get a referral from every client you're going to work with this year? What if you just figured out how to get a referral from every client that's already loves you, trusts you, signed up to? If that's all you did, how simple would that be? By the way, it's not going to cost anything.
Right.
It's just getting simple and effective. So we're so good at making things overcomplicated.
I think it's that domino effect, right?
Yeah.
One domino after the next.
Yeah.
A client is an endless list of clients.
Yes.
And that's leads from here to eternity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So nice. What do you think on a personal level that you've struggled with as you started kind of building a coaching business that most people wouldn't think about?
I think I struggled with focus sometimes, right? So sometimes struggled with focusing on all the stuff that I wanted to do in the future and not nailing some of the stuff that was in front of me, right? So not taking care of some of the stuff that not taking care of maybe a current client because I'm worried about trying to get clients down the road. Right? So I think focus is a big thing that I've struggled with. I think the other thing I struggle with is like comparing myself to everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to be where my buddies are at, even though they've been working at it for 15 years or 20 years, whatever it is. I struggle with, I think I should be there overnight. And I think that's a big thing for me is just the mindset, right? Is continuing to allow myself to compare myself to where I was a year ago, not compare myself to where, the people I'm looking up to are. And I think that's a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a struggle. It's a daily choice for me of where I put my focus.
What's one of the most brutal stories that you've had where you failed at coaching?
I mean, I feel like so I had a client and I coached him for several months, and he came to me because he wasn't doing his lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
And he left me still not doing his lead generation. Right? We're talking like 6 months, 8 months later. I feel like I failed him. And I think there's a lot more to that. Obviously, there's more to the story, right? Obviously, there was things that he wasn't necessarily upfront about in the beginning. There was there was some work there. I wish that I could have reached in and figured out what that thing was and fixed it. Usually I can, and I didn't in that case. And I'm not sure 100% what I could have done different to help him figure out what he really wanted or what the clarity was or what he was really after. And I think part of that story was there was something that he knew he probably should be doing, and he just didn't want to do it. And kept making promises that he knew he didn't want to deliver on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot of times, right? People have conflicting goals, and if they can't be honest with themselves and reconcile that, it's tough.
Yeah, because it always comes to like that. Oftentimes I don't think it's lying to others that actually gets you in trouble. It's lying to yourself.
Yeah,
and that's the real killer at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yep, huge.
So, what lies have you been struggling with in your life?
So, I mean, what lies do I struggle with in my life? There's a lot of self-defeating lies I tell myself. I'm just not good at that. I'm just not built that way. So things like that, I think anyway. I'm just not good. I'm a high D, not a high C. I'm just not good at details. It's kind of a lie because it's a skill set oftentimes, not necessarily a talent. Right. So I think those are some of the lies. So I think one of the things you said the other day was, and where is this showing up in your life? Where if you're not keeping the promises you make to yourself, what does that do to you?
Yeah.
So I think that's been a big one, figuring out what promises am I not making to are there promises I'm not keeping with myself, and what's the ultimate effect of that?
Yeah, which is, it's huge.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah. What do you struggle with most on your coaching calls or with your clients?
I think if we're talking about me personally, I struggle with finding the balance of making sure that I am there to help them, but also kick them in the butt when they need it. Mm-hmm. It's, for me, that's a difficult balance to keep. Because when I have a client, they know I try not to be their buddy friend, because that will end up getting me in trouble. But at the same time, there's also this thing of no, I really need to kick you in the pants. And, I hate when my client is going through something that's really, really, really difficult for them. And I can see their pain and I can't take it away. Yeah. Like that. So I have a client and she's struggling about opening up about some stuff and working on some things. And she's doing the right steps. I hope we're going in the right direction, right? where she's going to be able to tell her story. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. But watching her have to walk through and in some cases relive traumas.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching a bird break out of a shell, and they have to go through that process to be strong.
Yeah.
And you wish you just flick some of that shell away for them.
And I think the second thing that's the most hard for me is when I give a client the right advice that I know will fix the problem, right? And I show them the steps, and then they don't do it.
Let me ask you this: have you ever given them the right steps, and then you realized later
it was the wrong steps?
You weren't. They did follow your steps, and that they weren't the right steps. I mean, if we're gonna be real, has there ever happened?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. Like the advice that I gave them wasn't the right advice.
Mm-hmm.
Was actually finding out more information later on that I didn't know ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I this was the case. I actually took them at their word.
Yeah.
They were like, this is what I want to know. This is what I want to learn. And I was like, cool, let's do that. And I didn't do the extra digging.
Yeah.
And then they were like all gung ho.
Yeah.
They went and did what I asked them to go do, and then found out that wasn't what they needed to be doing. They weren't in the place that I thought they were. And I had made assumptions about where they were. And I hadn't taken care of the root issues before we started dealing with the high level stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I know that's one thing that one of my blind spots I have to continually be aware of is, I've coached over 5,000 agents. And after doing that, you start seeing these patterns develop, right? You start saying, hey, when somebody says this, it's probably going here, right? When somebody says this is probably where, and that's true 85% of the time. And then you're having a coaching call with someone and they start going down the same trail that you've coached someone on maybe 30 times before. And yet I've got to catch myself and make sure I continue to ask all the right questions, because my thing is, if I'm not careful, I can jump to the end, right? I get the first 20% of data. I can assume, hey, I've had this conversation 50 times. We're probably going here, but I've got to continue to ask great questions to make sure I don't leap ahead, because the issue I think we're really talking about may not be the real issue.
Yeah, and I think that also comes down to us. Sometimes we believe in coaching, and this is a problem. It's a problem with leadership too, right? Is that we think that it's all about the right answer and not about the discovery. And half the time it's about letting someone talk enough so that they realize the problem themselves. The self-discovery is way more important than the correct information.
Yes, the journey is just as important as the answer.
And so like sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, here's the answer.
Yeah. And
that's not really what needed to happen. You need to like shut up and be still.
Yeah, that's like when people say like learning how to make $1 million is way more important than having $1 million. And I was like, that's insane. What are you talking about? But then what I realized is they're 100% true, right? Knowing that they're the person that can make $1 million, or knowing that they went on that journey, is what actually allows them to do. Which is, ironically, I read the other day, Damon John, I think, was talking about this, how so many businesses fail because they have too much capital in the beginning, which, by the way, is not my problem. Just so we're clear, that was not my problem day one. But a lot of businesses fail, Silicon Valley businesses fail because they have too much capital in the beginning, and people don't have to go on that journey.
Yeah.
So I think one of the beliefs that I struggled with early on is I heard people say, you need 7 streams of income, which is true. And yet I thought that meant like, go do 7 streams of income tomorrow. And what you realize is when you peel back the layers and you read autobiographies and things like that, you realize most people, it took them 10 years to nail the first stream, then 5 years to nail the next 2, and then all of a sudden they were able to do multiple at once. Yep. But it was that first journey, or the first 1 or 2 are the toughest. So. All right, let me ask you this. What are you the best in the world at, and what do you want to be the best in the world at?
I don't believe I'm the best in the world at anything.
What are you really great at, though?
Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking literally. I'm thinking like... there you go, yes.
Well, the thing that I think I'm really good at is, I think I'm good at a couple different things, but I'm really good at being able to read, talk, and pull out gold in people. That's one of my like number one strengths. And I think everything else kind of builds off of that in a lot of ways, right? So like if I'm doing like film and television or something like that, what does it come down to? It comes down to being able to read, work, and pull the gold out of people. Or if I'm working with a business and I'm coaching someone, what does it come down to? I am trying to pull the gold out of you.
Yeah.
And I think that is like one of the things that I am really, really good at.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting here a year from now. What do you want to be most proud of? We're sitting here a year from now, and I go, what are you most proud of over the last 12 months? What would you love for that answer to be?
So I think for me, what I would like to be the most proud of is that we exceeded our own expectations.
That's good.
My expectations are always high. I think that covers like a multitude of things. Like, I'd be the most proud of seeing, like, one of my clients is writing a book right now. I would be thrilled if instead of finishing the book in the next 12 months, she has it done in the next 3 months. Being able to help people hit that opportunity and actually be like incredibly successful, but that's beyond my expectations. My expectations oftentimes with people are, I have really amazing expectations for you. My reality button is like, it's going to take us a little while to get there.
Yeah.
So I think for me, being able to be like, to be able to exceed that and be able to really spur people along that take that to like a full advantage, I think is amazing.
Yep, love that.
So, what about you?
I want to see the impact. I'll be proud when we're able to, triple the impact, and increase the freedom. I want to have more impact and more freedom. So, and for me, one of my goals is I want to get better and better at uncovering the mystery of human behavior and being able to help people give better and better and better practical strategies to change their life. I just want to get better and better at unraveling what's really, really going on, and then being able to give people very tangible, actionable things to go change their life. And I think I want to always get better at that. So that's a big one.
It's good.
Yep.
Well, guys, this very real talk.
Real talk. By the way, you should join Real Talk for Real Pros.
If you're a real estate agent.
That's
a great group online. Guys, this Real Talk has been brought to you by Hero Nation and Hero Nation Fuel. Guys, have real conversations. Have these like deep conversations with people. It's amazing that how much it builds into you, into us, because it's real and it's tangible. And we wanted to give you kind of a taste of that today. Like, let's talk about like some real stuff, like beyond the fluff, beyond the lessons, beyond all the other junk. Let's talk about what we failed, what's actually going on, because only by doing that can we really succeed.
Yep.
So check us out at theheronation.com. Take a look at some of the programs that we have going on. Join some of these groups. There's some amazing people inside who would, love to be able to help you and work with you, and not just the coaches, but also like just the amazing. I have constantly been impressed by the people that have chosen to surround us. And
the level of conversation.
The heroes of Hero Nation are the community. Like just the community, the coaches, the people way beyond us personally. Like these people are rock stars. They are heroes to their families. They're heroes to their communities. you know, and those things change the world.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Cool. Guys, until the next time, until we see you again, be your own hero.